Alright guys, my Dota just crashed, so everything is going to be up in just a little bit. I just have to rejoin and everything like that. Hopefully it's not just me, hopefully everyone is having a little bit of difficulties, but we'll be right back in just a little bit. But this is going to be the Thai Championship game, or day 2 rather, 85Leela versus Team Malaysia. Cards on the table. I don't really know too much about 85Leela, although Team Malaysia, if you don't know about them, then seriously get out of that rock that you're hiding under. Gonna quickly load back into this game, and hopefully we will get everything going. I'm Mike Loris, I'm going to be one of your casters. I'm joined once again by Grandis V.
Unfortunately for Mike, it is just him. I'm in the game, so I can give you a little bit of a glimpse at this draft. But as he said, I am also in a similar boat. I haven't seen 85Leela play, and I don't really know any of their players, to be honest. Team Malaysia, on the other hand, all of them are fairly household names, and I'm very excited to see them play. Their first bans, however, are incredibly peculiar. Huskar and Pugna taken out by Team Malaysia. The Brewmaster Naga Siren from 85Leela, in comparison, looks incredibly standard. The first picks are also looking pretty normal, with the first pick Scarth Mage coming up from 85Leela and a Death Prophet Shadow Demon opener from Team Malaysia.
I think this is just Malaysia having fun with this game. I've seen them do this before where they first banned in running games for like 6 games in a row or something like that. They just first banned Spirit Breaker Abaddon just because they're so comfortable with their game status. And honestly, I could kind of understand that. I mean, Team Malaysia, they are one of, if not the best team in the C region. In 85Leela, I have never seen them before, so I guess Team Malaysia feel comfortable just BMing just a little bit in the draft.
I'm not sure if it's truly bad-mannered for them to go for these bans. It
Fair
feels
enough.
more or less like a no-ban strat, but you still get to keep your reserve time without truly having no bans, because it's unlikely that Huskar and Pugna would have been picked up in the first couple of stages, and it's going to leave a lot of heroes left in the pool. So I think it's still a viable strategy if you're incredibly comfortable with your individual play, which Team Malaysia should be. So I don't think it's necessarily rude or inappropriate for them to do so.
Yeah, fair enough. Malaysia just going to be, very comfortable with their status among the other C teams, it seems. I mean, they banned out some pretty weird heroes, but the picks end up being rather standard. Death Prophet, Shadow Demon, 2 very strong heroes to open up with, and 85Leela opening with the Scarth Mage and picking up a Bristleback rather highly. Been seeing more and more of this hero partnered up with Io quite a bit. Don't really know if they're going to go down that route, but really both sides have a pretty strong opening.
Yeah. And then again, there's always the off chance that 85Leela actually do legitimately pick up Huskar, Meepo, and the likes. We're going to see Team Militia picking up the Timbersaw for themselves. A pretty great hero, even though we don't see very many strength heroes from 85Leela. The burst damage is going to be very annoying for the Bristleback to deal with. As Timbersaw is pretty good at getting in the front of Bristleback, as well as bursting him down. Also, with the new Aghanims upgrade on Timbersaw, he's one of, if not the most high damaging heroes once you get that item online.
Yeah, that is just a terrifying thing to go up against. Doesn't really matter who you are either. Pure damage is going to be pure damage, and it seriously hurts. We see Razor, Earthshaker being banned out, and Meepo, Terrorblade. Yeah, just relatively strong heroes being banned out. Meepo, again, you would have to be in context of the team to know if that Meepo ban is truly warranted, but 85Leela, they're going to stay the course and just pick up more and more strong heroes, very tanky heroes as well. Ogre Magi to go along with the Bristleback. If you load up Bristleback with a whole bunch of buffs, he can very much so just solo the entire enemy team if he has the right circumstances. Bloodlust is a fantastic buff to put on Bristleback. It's pretty much just another warpath.
It definitely is. And it synergizes very well with Warpath. The extra movement speed is going to mean that very early on, Bristleback is going to be running at max movement speed, or if not, very close to it. And then the extra attack speed from the Bloodlust is going to synergize well with the bonus damage you get from the Warpath. And once you're at max stacks, Bristleback's going to be hitting like he's holding onto a rapier. Maybe not that much, but it's still going to be a pretty ridiculous amount of DPS coming out from this Bristleback. Also, Ogre Magi synergizes as well with the Scarth Mage. A lot of magical burst coming out from the Ogre later on in the game, and in the earlier portions, they can roam very effectively. I'm liking this opening coming out from 85Leela.
Yeah, I think I like it a little bit more than what Team Malaysia have right now. They have yet to pick up a partner for the Shadow Demon, assuming they are going to get someone who could really heavily benefit from the setup. I'm personally feeling a Kunkka this game, although I don't really know if that's warranted anyway. Holding out for the Lina, of course. Always holding out for the Lina, but Shadow Demon, just as a solo support, is rather mediocre. Versus Scarth Mage, he will offer you that protection, so Mystic Flare isn't going to always demolish your entire team. but he really excels when he has a support partner in crime to go around and make stuff happen. Team Malaysia, though, they're first going to pick up the Viper. Viper, Death Prophet, Timbersaw are three very high damaging, pretty tanky cores, all things considered.
Right now, however, Team Malaysia are very lacking in the lockdown department. The Shouting Disruption is kind of nice. You have a silence from the Death Prophet. But outside of that, I don't see anything that's going to stop 85Leela for going for something along the lines of a Weaver. And honestly, I'd really like to see that hero. Right now, Team Malaysia might be able to pick up a super stun-heavy last support. But honestly, I think the Weaver would be able to deal with that. So maybe 85Leela would be comfortable with picking that up in the 4th pick. But even so, even if the Weaver is banned out from them, there's still plenty of other heroes that can abuse a very stun-light lineup coming out from Team Malaysia. As far as their last hero, I do want to see the Kunkka coming out from them. And, well, it's not the Weaver, but Queen of Pain is a hero that can abuse the fact that there's not very many tools that Team Malaysia have to keep the Queen of Pain in place. Right now, it's just a silence from a Death Prophet.
Yeah, so Queen of Pain is going to be quite a nuisance for Team Malaysia. They have a lot of sticking power, like, if they do catch her with a Viper Strike or something like that, then Timbersaw is going to be able to give chase, and they'll have Demonic Purge as a nice slow as well. So lots of slows from Team Malaysia, and their kiting potential against the likes of Bristleback is pretty serious. And Bristleback is going to not have the best times at trying to close in and stick onto his targets, just because he will have to deal with Timber Chain disruptions, random poison slows, and stuff like that. So whereas Team Malaysia are very light on the hard lockdown, they are very heavy on the soft lockdown, and it's not as good, obviously, but it's sometimes functional, depending on what the enemy team has. But I think I do like the idea of just a super high mobility hero for Leela, and it seems like Team Malaysia are just now recognizing that fact as well. Ember Spirit would have been another great hero for Leela to pick up, as he is going to just do whatever he wants without very many stuns on the enemy side.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Bristleback is going to be very heavily annoyed by the Viper, and I'm not sure if Bristleback's really going to be the highest threat for Team Malaysia because of that. I think it's going to come down to this 5th hero coming out from 85Leela, where Bristleback's just going to be absorbing the brunt of the attention, where that other hero is able to kite on the outskirts of the fight and focus down heroes at his free will. The last ban coming out from 85Leela is actually very peculiar. With the Visage, it would give Team Malaysia a ridiculous amount of damage, especially if you have the Shadow Demon Curse on them. But even so, I'm not sure if I would have liked the Visage at all.
Yeah, I mean, Visage is always a decent hero, but you really want him to be an excellent hero, and, you know, that's when he is picked up with the Drow. That's when you usually see him being an excellent hero. Obviously, that's not the case in this game, as Team Malaysia, they last picked the Sand King. It is going to be a stun for them, and a hero that does benefit somewhat from the Shadow Demon. I think it's mostly just they aren't going to be looking to be playing too aggressively in the early stages, or they could just be looking to play turbo aggressively in the early stages. That's what you get when you pick up the Sand King. You play super passively or super aggressively. Middle ground is generally not there, so Sand King is their last. It's at the very least a stun with the Burrow Strike, and if the Sand King is played well, as it normally is for Team Malaysia, then the Burrow Strikes are going to be hitting multiple people several times.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's one of Team Malaysia's better supporting heroes, and I like seeing them play with it, so I definitely think it's a worthwhile pick, although the Kunkka would have been, I don't know, the thing that I'd want to see, personally. Whether or not it's any better, still yet to be seen. 85Leela running down through the reserve time, thinking about this last hero. I still think the Weaver's worthwhile.
Yeah, going for a Weaver, or going for someone like a Morphling, who also can get away with the lack of CC, but an Alchemist, not the hero that I really thought. Team Malaysia actually are pretty well suited to deal with an Alchemist. This is picking a 3rd melee hero voluntarily into the likes of Sand King, Timbersaw. I don't know if I would do that.
Especially not. This Alchemist, if it is a farming core, which it looks like it will be, up against a Viper, he's going to be chronically kited. They have plenty of burst damage to take him down through his ultimate. It doesn't give you that bonus HP as it did back in TI3. So this Alchemist is going to need to have a lot of items in his pockets in order to even break evenly up against Team Malaysia. I despise this pick. The minus armor synergy with the Bristleback is kind of nice, but I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I think Leela are mostly looking at their own team and saying, okay, we need a carry hero, preferably someone who could stand on the front lines, I guess give Queen of Pain another body to hide behind, give Scarith Mage another body, someone who could benefit from Bloodlust. And in that sense, Alchemist is not the worst hero to pick up, but, I mean, they have already 2 melee heroes. Why would you pick up a 3rd? I think Alchemist, in general, if he is going to be playing as the #1 role hard carry, he's pretty mediocre. I mean, if he does get 20 minutes of uninterrupted farm, he could do stuff, but, I mean, good luck getting that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Even though in theory he can sit on the front lines, up against Team Malaysia's team, there is not a chance this Alchemist is going to be surviving for very long. Unless he has a BKB, and even then, the raw HP, I'm not sure if it's going to be off. Either way, let's see if they're going to be able to pull it off. 85Leela playing on the Radiant side with Portgok. I have no idea how to say his name. Sorry if I'm butchering that. Playing on the Alchemist. Noisy playing on the Ogre Magi. Our other supports going to be Mayan playing on the Skyrath Mage. Living Dome playing on the Queen of Pain. And Ojidue playing on the Bristleback.
That was really bold of you to take Leela's side because they have some pretty devastating names to pronounce. We got on the Team Malaysia side, KYXY going to be playing the Viper. Net is going to be following up as the support. Sanking Mushi on the Death Prophet, and X is going to be playing the Shadow Demon. Up towards top all alone, it's going to be Ohio, and it looks like we're going to be seeing an aggressive attempt for 85Leela. They're going to smoke up and try to bait someone in from Malaysia, and they actually might get someone. The Ogre Magi is a tough hero to actually bait with, though, just because you don't actually ever want to fight an Ogre Magi at level 1, so they could probably picked a better hero to do this.
Yeah, Skyrath Mage, I think, would probably be your ideal bait. Maybe even the Queen of Pain. I don't know. They're not going to find anything. For now, it's Team Malaysia looking for an aggressive tri-lane with Viper, Shadow Demon, and Sand King. So they are going to be playing this Sand King hyper-aggressively. There is always the option to back off into the defensive jungle, get some stacks up for him, but I think this move coming out from Team Malaysia is going to be hard to punish. They are leaving a Timbersaw up against a Bristleback. Both heroes generally thrive in those melee versus melee matchups, but I think Timbersaw is slightly favored, despite the harass from the Quill Spray being a nuisance for Timbersaw, especially with low armor. I would have actually liked to see the Timbersaw start out with a Ring of Protection in this matchup, although he has plenty of regen to sustain through. If he gets a stick, he'll be fine, but scratch that, it's going to be a Queen of Pain. Yeah.
So we got a Queen of Pain matchup versus Timbersaw, which is, of course, I think a lot worse for Timbersaw. It's still perfectly functional for him. It's going to be a Bristleback tri-lane with the Alchemist going towards the mid lane. Now, I feel like Alchemist mid is just a lot worse than Alchemist hard carry, but I mean, I don't really like Alchemist as a hero that much, so I don't know if you could actually take my word for that one. But up against the Death Prophet, I don't expect this Alchemist to be getting that much. First of all, it's Mushi. Second of all, Death Prophet just has such a favorable matchup versus the Alchemist that it's going to be really tough. Bottom lane, KYXY is actually going to be left alone, and this is a possibility that you did mention that they could back off into their jungle, and usually it's after 1 or 2 kill attempts. But it seems like they're okay with just letting KYXY sit in this lane. They don't really have to worry about that much stun locking. It's really just the Fire Blast that they have to worry about, and they already have Corrosive Skin.
Yeah. If the supports had more levels in this lane, I'd say that the Viper needs to be careful, although with level 2 already on the Viper and presumably going to get a decent amount of levels just by sitting around, there's not much pressure the Bristleback can do on him by himself. And the Viper is probably going to have a pretty happy time, if not perfect. They are going to find Disruption on the Queen Pain. Burrow Strike's nowhere close, however. Net will be able to connect with it, looking for the blink away from Dome. It's not going to come out as Burrow Strike is going to land. And now with the Timber Chain, it's going to be Ohio, drawing First Blood up on top. Queen of Pain, generally a fairly hard hero to lock down, and they make it work with the damage that they have.
That was actually just perfect positioning
from
Net. He was right in between where the Queen of Pain was and where the Queen of Pain could have blinked to. So if she blinked, instantly Burrow Struck, and if she decided not to, and she didn't, then the Sand King just turns around and gets the Burrow Strike anyway. So pretty much no matter what, the stun was guaranteed at that stage, and Team Malaysia make a pretty nice rotation up to the top lane and make a bold gank. Like, you don't ordinarily try to gank a Queen of Pain with only a Burrow Strike. That's a pretty hard gank to have happen.
It's a show of force coming out from them. Net's positioning, it was just on the edge of being not good enough, but it ends up just being right on the money. The Queen of Pain couldn't do anything, and that's really weird to see. Maybe hoping for a blink towards the right and potential jukes might have been enough for Dome, but I don't think so. They're going to completely rotate their lanes as KYXY makes his way up towards top with the Viper, leaving the Timbersaw now down in bottom. It is going to be the Timbersaw versus Bristleback matchup anyway, or rather after all. But this Timbersaw is the one to draw the first blood. Now with the stick as well as the bottle, there's very little this Bristleback can do, even with support. And currently the supports are not anywhere to be found in the bottom lane, smoking up, looking towards this Death Prophet in mid.
They have 2 stuns to work with, Fire Blast as well as the Unstable Concoction. And as long as the Alchemist does get a stun on Mushi, they have a chance at securing this kill. But that's going to be pretty tough, because once the Alchemist pops that stun as Death Prophet, you just turn around and run the other way. And you should be at your tower by the time you're actually in any danger. So the smoke gank mid-rotation from 85Leela is going to fail. Are they going to rotate all the way up to the top lane? Queen of Pain does not like having partners in her lane, as she is such a level-reliant hero. But with the stun and control that they have through these heroes, they can very easily get a kill on someone like a Sand King if they can catch him out. They do have vision of him right now, and then that's going to be what they're going for, although I don't know if they can get it. I mean, the Ogre Magi just showed his face.
Yeah, it seems unlikely. Right now, Net is just backing off towards his camps. Inside the jungle, the Shadow Demon's currently stacking as well. Sand King's going to be sitting on the 4-minute rune, and this rotation coming up from 85Leela is going to net them nothing. A lot of time used by these supports and not finding anything for it. Net's going to be dropped fairly low, secures the bounty rune, and now trading hits with the Skywrath Mage, and now with the jump in from Mushi, they're going to drop a Crypt Storm. The right clicks are going to be enough. The Shadow Demon and the Death Prophet do get one more off. Net, despite dropping fairly low, is going to secure a second kill for his team.
You know, even though Skywrath Mage could put out a lot of damage, you don't really want to get into a fist fight as Skywrath Mage that early on, especially with rotation from a hero that has rather high movement speed in the Death Prophet, like Brown Boots, and she's already at 379. That sounds pretty balanced to me, and she's going to be able to reinforce that area, which is just so close to where she was chilling anyway. It is X to secure the kill, which, I mean, he definitely did not deserve that. He only contributed 1 right click, but Shadow Demon now picking up boots of his own is going to be a lot easier to initiate fights. I don't think the Shadow Demon is really going to look to do that. He's stacking up for his team. If you get 4 or 5 stacks of jungle camps for the likes of Sand King or even the Death Prophet, then that's going to be just so much acceleration for Team Malaysia. And they're already doing just fine. They don't actually need to rely on these stacks in order to like come back into this game, because they are just in a perfect position anyway.
Yeah. The Shadow Demon pick, despite not being able to set up kills very easily, really only setting up for the Burrow Strike at the early portions of the game, is going to be mostly used for the damage amplification of Soulcatcher, as well as defensively up against the Skywrath Mage, as well as the Alchemist stuns, as both of those are fairly easy to avoid with a defensive disruption. So yeah, he's still going to have a decent impact this game, although usually I like seeing Shadow Demon played in very aggressive lineups where wherever he roams, to whichever lane, there will be a little bit of kill potential. We're not going to see that, but I still think it's a fine hero for Team Malaysia. Right now, the Viper's left solo versus the Queen of Pain, and surprisingly, at least for me, KYXY doesn't have this lane on lockdown. Dome is farming fairly well, despite losing losing his life once. The bottom lane matchup is currently a complete wash, 22-12 versus 21-9. It's marginal whoever has the lead. Timbersaw going to have higher net worth because of getting the first blood, but honestly, both of these heroes, without rotations, are going to be completely fine. Although, that said, we are going to have Shadow Demon Death Prophet showing their face, but it's a bounty rune, so Mushi is going to make his way back towards the mid lane. The Shadow Demon, however, is going to show his face, but honestly, he can't get a kill here.
He's going to be in a little bit of trouble, actually. He's going to hit with the Fire Blast Ignite as well. He's going to put himself in the bubble, buy himself a little bit more time, as Ohio's just going to run interference with the Chakram, dropping the Bristleback very low very quickly. X is going to be fine, and it looks like that's just going to be mana spent on either end. Going back to the top lane, the Queen of Pain is doing a lot better versus the Viper, because Viper is playing this super cautiously. He has level 3 Corrosive Skin, which is, of course, nice when you're going to be taking skills from the Queen of Pain, but if he was packing 3 points Nether Toxin or even 2 points Nether Toxin, the lane would be so much easier for him, as he is facing down a huge deficit of damage. They're going to go again for the bottom lane. The Burrow Strike is going to be set up. Chakram is already spinning, and this Bristleback is going to take so much pure damage. There he goes. Easy setups for Team Malaysia, and Sand King now hitting that level 5 is going to probably head on towards his Blink Dagger. He does have no stacks to clear, actually. I don't know who cleared those stacks, but I'm assuming Team Malaysia got him. Now they're going to find another Burrow Strike onto Noisy. He's going to be blocked out. No, he's actually not blocked out. He eats the trees and gets his way through, but here comes a Chakram doing lots of pure damage, and then Ohio with one more Timber Chain forward, and the Shadow Demon somehow again takes the last hit. It's going to be 4-0 in favor of Team Malaysia, as 85Leela, they bring all guns to bear on this bottom lane, and I think Ohio is going to lead them on a wild goose chase. No, he's just going to calmly TP out. Alchemist stun is not even being charged up because he doesn't have the mana.
Yeah. There is also a fairly low amount of lockdown on the side of 85Leela. The 2 stuns, the Alchemist as well as the Ogre, the only ones that they had available, and the Ogre Magi not there. He was the one to die, and the Alchemist not getting there fast enough. Even if he was charging the stun, I'm not sure it would have been close enough to cancel that TP. I think he might have made it back to base, although potentially getting stunned when he's at home. Ohio makes it away to safety. Already Arcane Boots on your Timbersaw, as well as a decent amount of levels. This Timbersaw is going to be incredibly scary for 85Leela to deal with.
Also, we kind of have glazed over the middle lane quite a bit, as there have been no real attempts on either side, or no serious attempts. Alchemist is 17 for 1, and that's pretty terrible 8 minutes into the game. Mushi's 50 and 24. This Death Prophet is controlling this lane perfectly. There is no way the Alchemist is going to have a decent time, or even an adequate time. He's going to be clearing off a triple stack, which is certainly going to be very useful, but a Death Prophet is not exactly the best hero to give an absolute free time. Eul Scepter is coming up very swiftly for Mushi, and, well, he just needs one more level before he has level 1 Exorcism, and he will be able to absolutely truck down this tower. And what can an Alchemist do about that? What can anyone for 85Leela do about that?
I'm not sure there's really anything. Currently with the Haste Rune, Death Prophet might actually be able to steal a couple of the creeps inside the jungle, and this is disastrous for them. Mushi drops a Crypt Swarm, and he's going to steal pretty much everything from the Alchemist. This is farm that he desperately needs. Mushi is feeling immortal with this Haste Rune. A very short stun on a Mushi is actually not going to stop him all that much. He'll throw another Crypt Swarm, steals a medium creep, and then books it. Already forcing the rotation out from Dome, but Dome's too low and can't go for anything. The person to die is the Bristleback on bottom, being soloed up by the Timbersaw. Still, Mushi is hanging around on the enemy side of jungle and steals all of the creeps. Mushi just got away with murder.
Yeah, that's just insult to injury, plus getting a kill. I mean, honestly, Bristleback dying to the Timbersaw, although it is a kill, I would rather see Mushi with his Haste Rune antics just try to jack as many creeps as he can. He got absolutely everything, and that was the way that Alchemist was going to come back into this game. He's pretty freaking broke. I mean, he has phase boots, which is nice and everything, but certainly not going to be enough. This is another way for 85Leela to potentially get into this game by picking off 2 supports. Burrow Strike onto Noise is going to drop them to below half HP. Now the Shadow Strike is going to be disjointed by the Sand King as he does run off to the right. However, he's going to get hit, but here comes Mushi with the Exorcism already up. Net is going to be dropping very low very swiftly, and I think this is going to be the death of the Sand King. Finally, 85Leela get on the board. Mushi not doing quite enough damage. Now he's forced to run too many heroes here for just a Death Prophet to handle. He's not exactly very healthy, and he's going to try to get the kill on the Alchemist, but 27 HP, he survives. Here comes KYXY, though. The big bad Viper is here, and he's not going to get anything. That's fine. It's a 1-for-1 trade in the end. Overall, I think if you're 85Leela, you're going to be happy that you got anything.
Yeah. Net is having a much greater time as far as the sports are concerned, and it's going to be a lot of gold going in the pockets of the Alchemist. The gold swing is positive for both sides, since it is just a 1-for-1, nothing too significant lost from Team Malaysia. But 85Leela will take anything they can get at this point. The Exorcism at level 1 is fairly lackluster when it comes to damages. If that was level 2, maybe they'd be able to turn more onto it. It's actually very interesting to see Sand King's build this game. He's gone for Tranquil Boots into Urn. A very aggressive start coming out from Net. He doesn't want any of that passive farming inside the jungle. I think it was Mushi that cleared the sacks.
Well, I mean, why farm creeps when you could farm enemy heroes? Burrow Strike plus Epicenter is going to be devastating, and I mean, if you could set it up, and he has been setting them up, you might as well use it. It's a much more uncommon build than we ordinarily see from Sand Kings, as the power of Blink Dagger cannot be overstated, but hey, if you're getting action without your Blink Dagger, then you could wait on that item, as long as you get it eventually. I'd like to see that eventually from the Sand King. I'm sure he will be getting that soon enough, but they're looking to set up once again on the bottom lane. There are not many trees, so this is going to be pretty clear, and now Concussive Shot's going to land to Net, but it's not going to stop him from Burrow Striking Noisy. Ogre Magic dropping pretty low. Here comes the Viper. He's going to put a lot of poison damage into the Bristleback, now put into the bubble for safety. It's going to be Noisy to take most of the damage. However, he is very tanky. He will go down in the end, and now everyone from Malaysia is actually very healthy. Burrow Strike forward from Net is going to land them a double kill, and now it's going to be the Skywrath Mage being chased down. That's 4 for Here comes Dome trying to 1v4. He's going to get one, but he's going to die. Team Malaysia clean up 4v5 down in the bottom lane, and they're going to take this tier 1 tower as well. I mean, they barely lost any HP in that. That was disgusting.
It was. During that entire fight, Timbersaw had nothing to control him up. The Ogre Magi started off the fight by dying. The silence was already used by the Skywrath Mage, and currently with a 14-second cooldown on that silence, it wasn't enough to keep Ohio from doing exactly what he wanted to. The Timber Chains were consistently over 2 or 3 heroes. The Chakrams were able to fly, and with the Soul Ring, Mana Boots, as well as the Bottle, had plenty of mana points in order to expend that. And we're well on our way towards the Bloodstone coming out from Ohio. Actually, yeah, there's your Soul Booster completed. He almost has it done.
Oh man, that's like one of the fastest Bloodstones I've ever seen. And I mean, if you have 5, 0, and 4, if you're not getting a fast item, then you're probably doing it wrong. In the meantime, Mushi was in the middle lane. Team Malaysia were in fact fighting completely 4v5 in that bottom fight. Mushi took a tier 1 tower. He did not even use Exorcism for it, so they have a lot of mana on the Death Prophet. She has a regen rune, and they can realistically go for this tower push, although it looks like they're going to instead settle for a top tier 1 tower. I don't think they need Exorcism for this one, but hey, if they set up and potentially kill off this Queen of Pain, this could be a kill. Exorcism is going to be used. Can they land the silence? It's going to be perfect. And now Dome is going to take so much damage. What level is this curse? It's only level 1, but it's not really going to matter because Queen of Pain did not stand a chance. And now with the rest of Exorcism, this is going to be tier 1 tower down at the very least.
Yeah. Ohio doesn't have the Bloodstone completed yet, but it doesn't matter. He's just on the verge of having that. And after the tower, if he gets the destruction, no, he's not going to get that extra bit of gold. That would have put him over the threshold. Right now, it's going to be a tier 2 tower push coming out from Team Malaysia. They don't have much exorcism, in fact, none at all, as all of the spirits are going to go back into Mushi. But they still have heroes in force here, and will be able to at least put some chip. 85Leela just don't have very good tools to fight up into this lineup coming out from Team Malaysia. Their highest farm hero is the Alchemist that got destroyed in lane by Mushi, and currently, it's just the phase boots bottle for him.
Ogre. He runs into a Sand King and Timbersaw right next to a tree. That's never what you want to do. And no, oh no, Bristleback, don't go there. Your ally just died there. Oh, he's so lucky to walk away from that one alive. But Ogre Magi getting sniped off. These are just losses that 85Leela honestly can't afford. They have honestly nothing going for them. Their Alchemist, mid-Alchemist, is not going to be able to counter push very well. I mean, Acid Spray is annoying, but it's not going to be enough when you're talking about a Death Prophet and almost a Bloodstone and Timbersaw. And he hasn't actually gotten many ganks off at all. I mean, only 2 kills in 85Leela. Obviously, that's not going to be happening. But when you're not roaming around and you're not getting kills with this mid-Alchemist, then you're wasting so much potential. And, well, now they might put this Alchemist in a little bit of trouble. He is going to be Chemical Raged. So he might be able to survive this, although it will be very narrow.
Yeah, right now it looks like Team Malaysia aren't entirely interested in going for this. They're just going to push out all of the side lanes. Chakram comes out from the Timbersaw. It's just going to pull away the creep aggro, actually probably doing more damage to the trees than he is to any creeps. But still, that's your Bloodstone complete on Ohio. So his mana problems are all but over. Only 8 charges. I don't expect that to stay the status quo. As Team Malaysia, if they're able to find any engagements on 85Leela, they're going to be losing heroes. And I can't see them really taking very favorable engagements. Right now, there's not any huge items that will come out from 85Leela that are really going to turn this game. A Bristleback mechanism is a good start, but that in and of itself is not going to be enough. The 250 damage that's stopped, or rather negated by the heal coming out from mechanism, is going to be replaced so quickly by a Bloodstone Timbersaw, and not to mention a Death Prophet Exorcism Viper as well. There's just so much coming out from Team Malaysia at this point. The tier 2 tower is going to drop in bottom with no contention at 15 minutes in the game. That's very sad to see if you're rooting for 85Leela.
Malaysia, they use the Exorcism expecting a potential fight, but no Blink Dagger and Sand King means you can't exactly start a fight, so most of this Exorcism is going to be just hitting dead space, although, you know, it'll take down a tier 2 tower and then put a little bit of damage into a tier 3. Malaysia can't get much done aside from this, but they take a free tier 2 tower 15 minutes into the game. What more could you possibly want? I think they're just going to back off and potentially wait for a couple more items. I mean, there's a freaking Force Staff almost up on Shadow Demon. This is a 16-minute support, and he almost has a Force Staff. That is just so busted, and this game is just slipping out of control for 85Leela, if not already completely out of their control. There's a heart recipe on Death Prophet. That's how comfortable Team Malaysia is. I mean, you never go for recipe first, ever, and Mushi went for it because he can.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he almost has the Reaver, but at the current pace of the game, he's going to have the completed heart probably in the next couple of minutes. 20 minutes at the very latest. I think it's completely fine. Even without the heart, Death Prophet's already hard enough for 85Leela to deal with. As he can destroy the Alchemist done with the Yule Scepter, and the other things don't really bother him. Silence from Skywrath Mage also can be purged off by the Yules. Fire Blast from Ogre is kind of annoying, but they don't really have a great way to stick on Mushi, and Mushi's going to stick it to them. With the Yule Scepter onto the Alchemist, they follow up with the Burrow Strike coming up from Net Silence. He can't throw that stun away. At the very end of the Silence duration, maybe he will, but he's going to stun himself either way. They do Fire Blast up Net, and Net might fall here, looking potentially for a Burrow Strike. Defensive Disruption is going to allow that cooldown to come offline, and he's going to go aggressively into Dome. This might cost him his life as he silenced up, and the Arcane Bolts are going to fly. The Queen Page surviving with very low HP. One more auto attack from Mushi is going to seal the deal. Net's juking for the trees. Force Staff through from the Shadow Demon, looking for another Burrow Strike as well. He's probably going to make it out alive. They are going to clean up the Alchemist and now lose the Skywrath Mage, and somehow Net finds his way through this fight, and now they clean up the last remaining hero that was actually showing his face. The Bristleback, the only survivor behind the tier 2 tower, couldn't even get anywhere close to Malaysia, currently just running circles around 85Leela.
Just the raw levels on Sand King. I mean, he doesn't actually have many survivability items. Tranquil Boots earn, that's about it. But the rest of Malaysia, they took no damage because 85Leela, they were 100% focused at killing off the Sand King. And I think at this point in the game, that's a smart thing to do for 85Leela. Like, you take a kill when you can get it. But, I mean, they're lacking enough damage to kill a Sand King. Between Sandstorm, his general movement speed, and a Force Staff picked up on his friendly Shadow Demon, there was no way for 85Leela to stick on that Sand King and kill him off convincingly, especially once the rest of Team Malaysia rotated through. And now we're going to be seeing the impacts of that last fight. There's a freaking heart completed on a Death Prophet with Yule Scepter 18 minutes into the game. This is maybe the most farm I've ever seen a Death Prophet have at this stage ever. Like, this is so ridiculous, and
Yeah.
they're not going to let up. They're just going to keep on pushing all the lanes and constantly force 85Leela's hand.
KYXY is working his way towards the pipe, and once they have a pipe, 85Leela just can't do any damage. In theory, physical damage from the Bristleback is going to be kind of nice, but it's a level 1 Warpath, and I doubt they'll get enough Quill Sprays before they all die. Now Yule's onto the Ogre. They are going to follow up with the Timbersaw, looking for the Chakram. It is going to land. The Silence as well, as just the Extra Spirits is going to be enough. The Silence going the way of the Alchemist is going to mean that he stuns himself, and now he will be brought down. A beautiful Bro Strike lands on a 2. That's 3 down. Nothing that Team Malaysia have lost, and now they're just going to dive the base. There's nothing stopping them. Up to the high ground, Chain up onto the tree. Now the Chakram as well as the Whirling Death will bring down the Bristleback. Team Malaysia are just looking so incredibly strong. Even though they went for some interesting bans, it's completely warranted. Their individual play has been spot on this game.
Yeah, and 85Leela, I don't think it was really the draft that was too much of a problem. I think the Alchemist was an extremely weak pick as a finisher, but I mean, the other 4 heroes I think is a perfectly reasonable way to draft yourself a team, so you can't really blame that too much. It's the fact that none of their lanes actually worked out, and that's never good times.
Yeah, it's really not. For now, they are going to be stopped from going high ground, but that's just the silver lining, and honestly, that's a very dark silver lining to be having. Timbersaw now with 15 Bloodstone charges, as well as Boots of Travel finished. Ohio's going to be running rampant throughout the team fights, and there's nothing they can do to stop him. He'll be pushing out the lanes, and then joins the fight with Boots of Travel, and then cleans house. 85Leela, I don't really see any way back into this game for them, to be honest. Like, I hate being such a downer as far as their team is concerned, but when you look at the advantage that Team Malaysia have, it's almost 25,000 at 20 minutes in. This is over 1,000 gold advantage per minute for them, despite the comeback mechanics that have been introduced in 6.82 and then previously nerfed in the last couple of patches. Even if they got the kills, I'm not sure it would be enough. Although, I'd be very interested to see if Mushi would die, just how much gold that 85Leela would be able to collect.
Yeah, so Mushi, go ahead and go into the fountain for science reasons. Like, this
Please.
is purely for education and scientific research. If you look at the net worth, the drop down, whatever it's called, like, that basically tells the entire story. The support Shadow Demon has more than the core Alchemist, and I think Mushi, he has like about as much as the 3 cores of the Radiant combined. That's like
He has
disgusting.
more, like, yeah.
Does he actually have like more than the entire team combined? It's close.
No, it's not more than the entire team combined. He's 200 less than being more farmed than all 3 of the enemy cores.
All right,
And he's probably going to
he
overtake
clearly has
them.
to pick it up. I mean, he's slacking.
Yeah, he is. He needs to be out farming everybody on the map. Combined, mind you.
Yeah,
Let's see, what actually is the team net worth? Okay, so 85Leela's team net worth is just under 1,600. Or 16,000. Mushi is almost there. Like, come on, just get these tower last hits. I want to see you out farm the entire enemy team.
I believe, if not, Mushi confirms scrub. They're going to throw a stun over towards KYXY, but Force Staff is going to keep him safe. The Timbersaw is going to jump right into the base, and now here's the epicenter. It's going to be the Alchemist to die first, and then the Chakram through everyone else. They're going to take a lot of damage, Leela, and they're just going to get completely destroyed. Guys, unfortunately, the 322 Dream is dead, but I don't think Malaysia are going to care because they killed the entirety of 85Leela. Did they, like, lose 200 health there? Like, I don't know if anything was actually...
No.
Yeah.
Mech from the Viper, and they're all at 100% HP. That didn't matter. They're going to get a Burrow Strike now into Dome, and I think this is going to be a dieback from him. He blinks into his well. He needs to stay there. Dome, don't leave your base if you don't want Mushi to farm more than your entire team. After that last fight, with the gold that they lost, Mushi is only 600 gold away from overtaking them.
Okay, so
this is ridiculous. Once the tier 4s fall, he's going to completely overtake them. There's, like, not a chance. This is a ridiculous amount of farm.
So I'm going to give you an assignment. You have to keep track of Mushi's net worth in comparison to 85Leela. That's your job.
Yeah, at this point in the game, that's probably the most useful thing I can do. The team fights are just absolute massacres. Now with the Blink Dagger on the Timber side, he caught 3 people with a Chakram Timber Chain combo and obliterated them in the last team fight. With the Blink Dagger, finding that angle is going to be that much easier. It's ridiculous. There's no other way to put it.
So Timbersaw has like instant respawn for sure for the first one. He's gonna have
Yeah.
almost an instant respawn if he just buys, or if he teleports in and then just straight up dies again. Timbersaw is going to be in the fights pretty much 24/7, and
Yeah.
I don't really know if 85
Actually,
can deal with him once, let alone twice.
if they get 4 kills in the team fight, he can die again, and then come back in. Honestly, he'd need a refresher to get the boots of travel cooldown, but that would be double instant respawn.
Yeah, and we could talk about these things, guys, because honestly, 85Leela, they're just completely out of this game. Ohio is doing whatever the hell he wants, and you know something I didn't realize is that Bloodstone Suicide is actually called Pocket Suicide.
Yes,
I did
it
not
is.
realize that.
Yeah, I mean, nobody ever calls it that. It's kind of like the corruption from the Desolator. It's just kind of like, oh, the Desolate effect, but, you
I
know.
mean, a desolator, it's like a word that's one who desolates.
Yeah, exactly.
What you would
But,
expect.
yeah, that would get confusing with Spectre, though.
Yeah. So
I think we've
we have
already
to
talked
switch
about
them.
that, actually. Yeah, we have to switch them. It should be corruption on Spectre, but that doesn't actually make sense, really.
Yeah, so
Either way, high ground push again from Team Malaysia. Let's see if this team fight's going to break out. They start with the Yule Scepter on the Alchemist into the Chakram. Whirling Death, he dies in a second, and now everybody else is to fall. They're tanking the entirety of Amushi Exorcism. There's nothing they can do. That's 3 down, and now the Queen of Pain is forced to run away. The Viper pretty much solo kills her. No lockdown necessary. Now the last to fall is the Bristleback. What more did you expect? It's 2-31 at 24 minutes in the game, and GG called out by 85Leela. And as far as the final count for Mushi's net worth, he overtook them by 300 gold.
Mushi did it, guys. Mushi confirmed professional player. 1v5. I think he could have actually probably
He could have.
1v5'd them easily. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting way to start the second day of the Thai Championship. Guys, these are just running best of ones. This is going to put Team Malaysia at the top of Group 2. I'm going to put the standings, or the not updated standings, up just so you could see that right after. But we're going to be waiting for game number 2. This game didn't last very long, so honestly, with scheduling and stuff like that, I don't know when the next game is going to be up, but I hope you guys just chill and wait for the next game. Who's actually going to be playing in that next game? That is a good question. Let's find that out. But if you guys enjoyed it, be sure to hit that follow button. Stick around for the next game, and we will be right back in just a little bit, guys. Thanks for watching here on HeflaTV 1. We're going to be out for now.